Okay, people. So I am joined today by the Addams family, and not the Addams family you may remember from years past. This is the new improved gang. We have got John Adams, Toby Poser, Zelda Adams, and Lulu Adams. People, thank you very much for stepping in and having a conversation.
Thank
It's
you
so
so
nice
much,
to be
Kevin.
invited. Thank you.
Hey, no worries. But yeah, we are here because your new film, Hellbounder, Hellbounder, Hellbound. Yeah, well, whew. Hellbounder is just about to drop on Shudder. Now, it's already been killing it on the festival circuit, but yeah, it's gonna hit the platform for horror, which is it does seem like a perfect fit. Does seem like a perfect fit.
Oh,
How you feel about that? How did all of that come about?
we're pretty happy. So we our last film was called The Deep You Dig, and we premiered at a fantastic festival called Fantasia in Montreal. Fell in love with those guys. They gave us such a warm welcome, and so when we were finishing this film, we sent it to Mitch Davis, who's the head of Fantasia, and we were like, "Do we have something here? We didn't even know." We were like, "What do we have here?" And he said, "Well, you got to premiere if you want it." And we're like, "Hell yeah!" So and then we knew the great guys at Yellow Veil Pictures, and they introduced it to Shutter, and Shutter also reached out to us with open arms, and we couldn't be happier because they love the film and they love filmmakers.
Yeah, one of the things we love about Shutter is we love the subscribers at Shutter are, like they just love horror. They love all kinds of horror. They love every genre within horror. So when Shutter said, "Hey," when they approached us, that was the pinnacle of where we wanted to be because they're just a terrific organization, and they've also communicated with us and talked with us like what we are, which is just a small family. So that's really important to us too.
I mean, that sounds great. Yeah, it seemed like a perfect fit. But I need to come back here because I don't know if you're telling the truth to me, right? Because you were like, you sent it to the guys and were like, have we got any? How did you not know you didn't have something, right? How the hell did you not know you had some gold on you, right? I was shocked just to find out that this was your sixth joint because I feel so bad. I have not come across your work before, but after watching this, I was like, yo, why did no one tell me about these fucking people? This guy is great. How did you not know? After 5 films, you're still like, oh, is this any good? Whoa, what's going on, people?
I think part of the issue was we had such a great time making Hellbender. Sometimes when you're making art and it's just you're having such a good time, you kind of wonder like, okay, I know I'm having fun, but is it good? You know what I mean? And so honestly, we were done. We really liked it. It felt good, but it was like we should really get an objective person to look at this because subjectively we're looking at us, driving in Texas and being on the coast of Oregon, and it's giving us those emotions of like, oh my God, remember that day when Lulu almost got swept away into the waves? So it was important for someone to look at it as just a story and not a diary.
And yeah, and also this was only our second horror film. So it's kind of nerve-wracking. It's like, oh God, they liked the first one. Are they gonna like the second one? What if they hate it and then everything else we make is you just feel extremely vulnerable each movie you make. It's like, oh God, they better like this one or else they're not gonna like me anymore.
And
And
Kevin,
so,
we're making another one, and we're asking the same thing every day. We're like, "Is it good? We better make sure it's good."
I think every single morning there's 3 words that we say. Are we stupid? No, you're not stupid. Good. I'll make some coffee and let's get rolling.
oh shit, another joint come that now that's fire. Everyone's gonna be happy to hear that. But how is the process? Because you all direct, you all write. So how does that work?
A lot of times, someone comes up with an idea and then brings it to the family, and we all kind of just add on to it and like pick at it. and this beautiful idea forms. So there's a lot of business meetings spent at breakfast and on the drives to soccer practice where we're talking about what we want to happen in the film. And then as soon as possible, we try to just get cracking on like filming it, because that's kind of our motto, is like to just go out there and start, just go out there and do it. And sometimes we don't exactly always know how the movie is going to end, but as we're filming it, we kind of figure it out. It kind of just comes naturally, I would say, right, guys?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with Hellbender, that definitely happened. We didn't know how it was going to end, but we knew the story we wanted to tell. But it's just like your own life. You're not sure, hopefully you're telling the story you want to tell as a human being, and you're not sure how it's going to end. And that's the way Hellbender was. And it was fun when we finally got to the ending of Hellbender, and the decision was made, I think, by Zelda, just by spitting out a sentence. And when she spit out that sentence, which I won't reveal, we were like, oh, that's how the movie ends. That's fucking awesome.
And okay, so Zelda was able to do that. Did she also be like, I want to fuck with my sister? You know what I mean? Because if I'm Lulu, I'm a little pissed. This is how this one went. And in the next one, I'm gonna be the one laying the smack down. That's what I'd be thinking.
Hey, why'd you bring that up? You know what? I would say it's the other way around, though, because Lulu is the one that always likes to make me uncomfortable and eat things I don't eat, meats and stuff I don't want to be eating. So I'm sure she was the one that came up with an idea. Oh, we should make Izzy eat a worm,
I don't usually do this, Z, but you're so full of shit right now. Because when we went back into the trailer at night and we had like made Lulu sit in the ocean waves or sit in the rain and pour blood all over, you were like, that was kind of fun, wasn't it? You were loving torturing that poor girl. We had her in military bunkers in a bikini below freezing, and we're like, one more shot. One more shot.
One more shot. At that time you laid a fart right by my face.
I'm sorry, we're not very well. Maybe it's. Are you stupid? Yes. Good. Let's keep going.
Let's get it on film.
Oh my gosh, that is hilarious. That is hilarious. All right. So how did you kind of conceive the shots of the film? Do you storyboard it? Like, what's that process like?
We really don't storyboard. If it's kind of like that word's not even in our vocabulary. We're kind of like, wait, what's a storyboard? But
Oh, so you are stupid.
Thank you.
You just laid it out for me.
you're starting to figure it out. We kind of just go into it like with an idea of what we want to happen. And a lot of times someone will take control in the beginning of a scene and control the camera, normally who is behind it and is not acting in front of the camera. And if someone else has an idea, we'll shoot it like 3-4 different ways. And then we'll go home, put it in the computer and see which way visually looks best.
Yeah, I would say honestly, like we've tried storyboards in the past, but a lot of the time you get into a room and the light's not what you expected, or just the way it's being delivered isn't working. Like we're shooting a scene right now, right above this ceiling here. And this is the third day we've gone back because we actually did storyboard it. And the storyboard just kind of fails because everything's not, you got to keep your mind open to how everything changes, the environment, the actors, the lines and stuff like that. So in a sense, we have a mental storyboard. Probably each of us brings our own mental storyboard to each scene, because Zelda's idea of what she wants out of a scene is a lot of the times different than Toby. And Toby and I also have different ideas about what we want. So I think everybody brings their mental storyboard and then we hash it out on set.
And I'll add something too. You know, because we don't have fancy equipment, we usually just travel with one camera and a couple small mics. We really rely upon what nature or what's in front of us is throwing our way. And so if it's often like our nature will give us the best storyboard. It'll be like a crooked tree, with its finger pointed at you, and we're like, thank you. There we go. Thanks for throwing us that bone, nature, because we didn't do any of the heavy lifting. And then we always have our camera with us, and there you go.
Now, that's interesting to me, because the one thing I noted when I was, recapping the film was the fact that it didn't look like an indie film, right? So
cool.
It's like when we went through the different shots and everything like that, the quality is just, it's there. Like in everything, the story, the acting, the performances, the visuals, it's crazy. So you being like, oh, we've only got one little camera, and it's just like, how are you doing all of this? It's the other big thing that really jumps out as well. And I don't know if, it was fully intended, but the music in the film, every time we cut to those, it feels like it's a mini music video. And it's incredible because it's shot completely differently from the rest of the film. So then we get these like mini vignettes, music videos, and the viewing experience is incredible. It's incredible.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Kevin.
Those music, yeah, go ahead.
Well, Hellbender is actually born from a music video. We like 3 years ago, we were making a music video for a song of ours called Black Sky, because we're a band. And it ended up being super witchy, and we made some really psychedelic editing mistakes. And we were like, wow, we kind of have to use this new mistake and this witchiness in a new movie. And so that's kind of where the idea of Hellbender was born. And we wanted Hellbender to be really, really fun. And a way to do that was with the music that we create. And so it was really fun kind of just having multiple music videos within the movie. It's almost a little bit like a musical, but it's not.
Yeah, no, it really, because I think sometimes there is the worry of being pulled out of a film, right? When it cuts in different ways and we're getting all these different looks. But you were able to keep us really just engrossed. It was just like trying to work out where this was going. Because I said, it starts off and you wonder, is this some kind of Stockholm syndrome thing going on? Like, are you really, Toby's daughter? Is there something else? Is there some more craziness that's going to happen? Then we get the incident in the wood and you're like, oh shit, okay, it's that. But then more stuff's going down and you're like, yo, where is this going? And so you're constantly just on the edge of your seat going, yo, what are these crazy motherfuckers going to do next?
Awesome. Yeah, that's so nice of you. I mean, if you say that, that's what we sounded like on set. Where the hell is this going?
I don't know, but I like it.
Keep going.
So how long does it take you to like shoot it all?
I'd say it depends on the movie, but this one I think took around a year because it is throughout all the seasons. It was really important to us to get each of the seasons, since that's such a huge theme within the movie as well. And we edit as we go, since we are shooting within a season, which has, limited time. We have to shoot while there's still snow on the ground, while there is still leaves. So we edit as we go. So if we didn't get it, we can just go out and get it that day again or the next day. So around a year, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. And have you had any formal acting training, or did you just be like, oh, let's try this thing out and see how it goes?
Yeah, actually, I've been acting since I was a teenager. I actually went to school in London at Goldsmiths College, where I studied acting.
Yeah.
and I had a great experience there. And then so then I did a lot of theater, and it was actually when I was in almost maybe on the brink of 40. We were living in Los Angeles, and I just wasn't getting offered acting roles. And John was on this kind of fun rock and roll reality show, so he was on a set and liked that vibe. And the girls were really into Twilight at the time. They were 6 and 11. So we said, well, fuck it, let's just make our own films. And that's what we did. We set out on the road in a really old caravan for a year, and we learned the ropes of making a film on our first film, Rumble Strips. And now, we're 7 features in, and we all act. Yeah. And they're all much better than I am.
No.
Okay, and before
Yeah.
that sentence,
No.
Zelda and I had
They're
only done
naturals.
bits of theater as like kids, pretty much, I think, and like a little bit of kind of trying it out, but nothing formal at Toby's level. It's child theaters where you sit in the background and you go.
But when we started, there's a YouTube video out there when we first came up with the idea to make a film, and we posted like a video asking questions about any advice we could get. And Lulu, I would say, was the most enthusiastic about this whole idea. In fact, she runs the whole YouTube video. She's like, Mom, you can talk now, and Dad, you can talk. And she was like really into this whole idea of making a movie and being an actress. And it was really cool. It was a fun way to kind of show both of our girls like, oh, you have a dream. Let's try to fulfill it and see if it's a good dream or something you want to do. And it was a really interesting process for all of us.
No, I like that mindset, because I think too many times people are waiting for someone to give them something, whether it's like a break or not even a break, right? Some people are getting some roles where they're like, I'm not getting the starring role I want. And then it's just like, all right, I'm going to sit around and wait for it to happen. And it's just like, people, we have the opportunity to, do our own thing. And especially now with the way technology is. Yeah. So the fact that you all are just like, you know what, let's do this shit. That's crazy. That's great. I love that. And the performances, let's talk about the performances. You know what I mean? Because there's so many things that can throw you out of a film. But when you're watching this, you felt first of all, you felt that connection between mother and daughter, right? Awesome. And it's the band and all of that. But then there was that acorn of inquisitiveness when the hiker's like, oh, my daughter lives over the mountain. Oh, you're about the same age. You could be friends. And you see little Zelda being like, friend? And it was just like the first meeting, like, because I gotta say, Amber, not so friendly at first. Hey, fuck face. Be like, yo, shit. I don't know if I want to talk to that girl. But there's that brashness, but it was still that warmth to be like, hey, new girl, come, let's hang out. Come meet my friends. And all of it just felt so genuine. And that was a crazy thing. Nothing seemed fake, forced. It felt very natural. It felt like real natural conversations and the way people would act. So watching it, you wouldn't think that there's be like, you'd think, oh man, these guys must have been training for ages and going to these schools and doing this, and you know what I mean? But like to learn all of that on the fly, that's impressive. That's really cool.
Thank you so much. I do think we are lucky because we have the advantage of being a family. So like in the scenes with Toby and me, like there is that extra level of connection. Like, oh, I am with my mom. Like I love her so much. And I just feel that warmth even in front of and behind the camera. And that's
why you do that to her face then? Huh? Why you do that to our face then, Zelda? Don't be sitting there being like, yeah, and I feel that warmth, and it's my mom, and I love her, and be like, blah. What's all that about?
Hey, she did it to me too. So
Zelda loved doing that part, and then when I said, "All right, now Toby gets to do it to you," it's like, "Wait, what? What happened? What happened? Which one y'all picked me?"
wait, what?
I got a question, if you don't mind, because it's on this thread with you. I would love to know, because I love Lulu's performance, and Lulu hasn't acted with us. She wasn't in the Deeper You Dig with us because she was at college. But Lulu rolled into this movie, and I think she changed the energy of our films in such a great way. And I would love to hear what you think about your character and how you like to portray what was real and what was you.
Thank you. Well, kind of just similar to Zelda, it was pretty much that we also had that bond, and there was that relation of wanting to mix with Zelda. Like, there was always that side of I want to mess with Zelda a little bit. You know, I'd make her eat a worm now that I have that idea in my head. But there was a lot of that it was kind of fun to work off of that. But I think our character, we were talking about a lot of deep and dark things and things that were hard to process, that it was really important to have some fun in those scenes and, you know, make like a playful other choice of the lifestyle that could have. You know, she could stick in this life with her mother and stay at home. She could join this kind of socialite life. And Lulu kind of is supposed to play like an enticing punk who represents like that teenagerhood and fucking up, but in a fun, kind of innocent, learning way. And so I think that was another tie into another world for Zelda, and a little bit of comic relief for the audience to kind of relax a little bit as they're processing all that dark stuff.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it kind of felt like the comedy in Blade, right? Because I thought that comedy, there was those funny moments, but it still didn't take away from the film itself. And so it was like, amusing just seeing these interactions with these kids, but it wasn't like over the top. It wasn't ridiculous. You'd be like, yeah, I could see kids doing that shit. You know what I mean? I think that was that was a great thing about those kind of sequences.
Thank you. That's another fun thing also about us and with the other people who are in the scene, the other kids. We all get to have a say in our characters' roles, and it's not a set script, so we can all be like, I just don't think a teenage girl like who would be hopping from house to house would say something like that. Like, we can kind of be like, I can resonate with this teenage girl. I would never fucking say that. Or this is definitely what I would say. This is definitely what I called Zelda when I was trying to get her to do shit. Things like that. That were really fun to kind of have that leeway. And yeah, you guys can say some more.
Well, it was also fun to not have the teenage the boy that basically sets up the trick to get the girl to drink the worm. It's funny, in most horror movies, he'd be the first on the death list, and he'd get a nice gruesome kill. But what was fun was those two squeak off with zero repercussions. They just dance off and it was kind of fun to just let them go. I think hopefully the crowd's like, oh, that dude's gonna get fucked first, but he gets to dance away with the bottle of tequila.
Yeah, very true. Very true. It doesn't necessarily go with the beats that you usually find in a film about this kind of thing, right? It is slightly different, and especially like the way it all ends. And I did love the way it ends because it's that role reversal from the very beginning of the film, and it's just like, oh shit, okay. So yeah, that was a lot of fun.
We had fun with that, the whole idea, because we're hoping that people wonder. We're hoping some people are rooting for the daughter and some people are rooting for the mother. Hopefully, it's that confusing of that both of those characters both are important to the audience, where they're like, I don't know, I feel for the mom. Like I think the mom was cool and the daughter was fucked up, or vice versa. Like, no way, the daughter was the protagonist here. We're hoping that people aren't really quite sure who's the antagonist and protagonist.
Yeah, I think it is it feels balanced in the way that you can see the point of view of what the mum was trying to do. And you can understand why Izzy is a bit like, I want to try this shit. I want to do this. So you know, you know, what I thought was true might not be true. So it's like you can see it from her point of view. So there's points where you'd be like, oh man, I can't believe you did that. But then you'd be like, yeah, but actually, I can kind of see why she would do that. So it's that interesting kind of, you know, thing with that. But it's also, we then wonder what happens with, you know, our little Amber as well. There's like nothing is completely boom, boom, that's it, that's done. So you are like at the end thinking like, oh, so what the fuck happened? You know what I mean? Like, where are we going from here?
Yeah, Hellbender 2 answers all that.
Have you ever thought about like expanding the work into, you know, a sequel or you know, a web episode kind of thing, you know?
I love the idea of that. I mean, for one, I think Hellbender would be a kick-ass comic book, to be honest. Like, I can just picture it. But I also think that there's room for a pretty cool sequel where, you know, Izzy goes on tour and on a rampage.
Yeah, no, it could definitely be a thing, you know? Be like, why did the groupies keep on disappearing? What's going on?
Exactly.
I think it'd be more like, why does that record company executive keep disappearing? That'll get the audience cheering.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. When the film drops, are you dropping the songs as a soundtrack to go with it?
We are going to have a soundtrack. It's going to come out a little later this spring by Ship to Shore, and they're making the vinyl. There are 20 songs on it, and half of them aren't even in the film, and they're really good.
Yeah, we wrote a lot of songs for this film, and you know, like you can't put 23 songs in a soundtrack, so a lot of them hit the floor, but they all are written with Hellbender in mind. So all the songs are about the story of Hellbender. So it's pretty fun. It's a pretty cool little album. And like, but our band Hellbender is Hellbender where all the E's are sixes because, you know, hell, Satan and stuff.
And what are you in the band as well, Lulu? Do you get to do your thing?
In there, all of us do a little bit in each of it.
Nice. So, what do you like? What's been the response on the festival circuit to the film?
That's a really good question. One of our favorite things about the film festival circuit is that you do get to have that response from, you know, the audience and critics and really see what they think. And I think that the response has been wonderful. People have been so nice, but also I'm nervous to read comments and stuff like that. So I always have John and Toby give me like the summary of what people have been saying.
Actually, Toby reads them. I also am nervous about reading them. So Toby always reads. And then she says, oh, you can read this one.
You know, sometimes we think we make films, Kevin, just to get to the festivals because the festivals are so much fucking fun. You meet incredible people. We've been to Fright Fest in London and made some great friends for life.
And Mayhem.
Yeah, and then we couldn't. This Hellbender was playing at Celluloid Screams and Mayhem, and you know, Soho Horror. So England, you know, the UK's been good to us, but the festivals really hit home how wonderful the horror community is. For people who love blood and guts and burning your grandma, they're the nicest, cuddliest, smartest, most wonderful people.
Also for us, festivals are our film school because the audiences and the critics at film festivals, they're so well versed in horror. And we learn so much from every single festival. The conversations that we have it's basically like we're trying to get our master's degree, and the best place to do it is at these film festivals, learning from the audience.
Interesting. Now, how do you balance that out, right? Because there's always going to be people that, will watch it. And however good something is, be like, I didn't like that. Or, oh, they should have taken a story there. Oh, no, the music wasn't good and that doesn't work. And like, it seems sometimes that people just want to be contrary, because it's like, I think everyone has their own taste. So that's fair. But sometimes you read comments and you see things and you're just like, what did you watch? You know what I mean? Or what did you come into the film thinking? So how do you kind of balance that out with, I'd like to get some good feedback from people to help us with the next project, but that feedback is just ludicrous and that person's a moron. Like, how do you, understand, like, oh, no, this is valid. Let's not mess with that.
That's such a great question. Toby, how do you do it? I want to know how you do it.
I think someone was asking us yesterday about this new film we're making and how are we going to make sure people like it and the pressure. And I listened to that and I respect what that person's saying, but my thought was, well, first and foremost, we as creative people need to stretch our muscles. We need to try things, and at the risk of people not liking what we do, because I'm not sure everybody wants to see another The Deep You Dig or The Hellbender. How are we going to grow as filmmakers if we don't try shit? So my first instinct is kind of selfish, is like, well, no, I have a vision and I'm going to make it. And you may not like it, but as long as I put my whole fucking heart into it, at least I'll know, well, it has integrity. It wasn't your taste. That's cool. There's some things people love that I think is shit. So I can pretty much let it go as long as we're doing the best that we can as filmmakers. I don't worry too much. I learn from them, but if something really means a lot to me and there's something that I think we need to do, then I'm going to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, I think one thing that I'm coming to terms with that took me a long time is, and probably the whole world's coming to terms with, is a lot of social media is people throwing dog shit in each other's faces. And that's the entertainment value of it. So when someone throws dog shit in our face, obviously it doesn't feel good. And at first I'm like, holy shit, this is a vicious like review or comment on our movie. But where we learn is from the people. Like, if somebody doesn't like our movie, I don't mind that. I really like if they can actually tell me why. Because I would like to know why. Like if someone wants to say, the color correction was shit because the whites were too blown out. If they actually have a real reason that they can explain to me, and then I can go in and look and be like, holy crap, they're right about that. I could improve on that. That's helpful. But the review that says, boy, I wish I could get my hour and 20 minutes back. Those are the ones that are just people just trying to exercise their own demons.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair thing, because I think it's fair to talk about things, and if you're analytical about it and be like, I loved the way the film started, but when it kind of separated into this thing, I don't know, I wasn't as connected to it. Like, I think you can make that comment, but just to be like kind of blue, it's just like, what are you doing? Like,
it was bad if we just hire them for the next movie and chop their head off.
All right. So, where do you get like the inspiration from? Do you watch? Because this is the thing, right? Because I think I try, I try and dabble with a little stand up, and so it's sometimes you don't want to watch stand-up specials, but you're like, I don't want to, watch it and accidentally take a joke, right? It's sitting in the subconscious, and you'd be like, oh, this sounds good. And you're like, yeah, because Dave Chappelle said it last month. And you're like, shit, what am I doing? So it's just like, how watching things and not like completely taking them, like being inspired by stuff is always fine, but yeah, how do you kind of balance the creativity, and so you're bringing something new to the screen and putting your twist on things?
That's a really cool question.
Yes, that's the greatest question, right?
I think that we love to watch movies, but I think we always like to watch them to get us in the mood or to inspire us. But then I know for me personally, then I like to kind of chop it all up into little pieces, only keep a few floating around in my head and blow the other confetti like away. Because I think it's important for us to be as original as possible. And sometimes when you're trying to emulate something, yeah, it's like you said, it's not yours. And there's something to be said about your instincts. And we're four really weird people, so our instincts end
And
up in
stupid.
something like Hellbender. And so yeah, I think we just try not to follow the rules or think too hard.
This is a great question, and here's a great illustration of what Toby's talking about. We're making a movie right now called When the Devil Roams, and it's set in the 1930s. So it's a period piece, and it's basically Bonnie and Clyde meets Frankenstein. So already you can tell when you're a production company of four, we are way over our head, right? And so, but that's cool and that's fun. That's going to create originality just because we're over our head and we need to survive and we need to come up with tricks to make this happen. So we watched Nightmare Alley, the new Nightmare Alley. Do you know that with by
Guillermo
del Toro? And so as soon as it came on, I looked at Toby and I was like, "Oh, we're just so fucked," because this movie is immaculately produced. It is beautiful to its core. But in about 20 minutes, I realized, oh, you know what? We're not fucked because we're going to do everything that they're not doing. Our movie's going to be so dirty. And so like the production, like design will be so dirty and broken. It will be the antithesis of this. And that's so in a way we look at a lot of movies and say, okay, they did this and they did it perfectly. So what's the opposite of it? How can we do what they did opposite? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. That makes sense. And what is a good, what's a good story, but what's a good horror for you? Because there's so many, like, it's a weird one, right? Because I think people say horror, but it's not one thing. It's like, jazz and rap and, comedy. There's so many different genres of. So, like, for you, what is, a great horror?
great question.
For me, we talk about it a lot and like what actually scares us. I think The Descent is a really good horror film.
Yeah.
Because it plays on fears people didn't even know that they had. Each of us watched that film and we were like, am I claustrophobic? And what? I've never felt this way before. And if a movie can like evoke emotions that you haven't felt before, that's just incredible.
I love movies that have creep factor. Two examples are The Ring. Like the Ring is very good at capturing creepiness, and the other one is Hereditary. And the best example is when the mother's kind of shadow is up on the ceiling in a scene, and they don't make a big deal out of it, and you're not even sure you saw it. I love when a movie can capture the feeling we all have when we turn out the light at the bottom of the basement and get our ass up the steps.
Yeah.
I like the kind of horrors that threaten everything you love and make you rethink what's right in the world. Something like The Witch, where at the end you're like, go with the devil, babe. I'm with you. I want something sweet to eat.
Delicious. So funny.
Sicko.
And Toby goes and makes it dark. Thanks, Toby.
My loving mom.
That's why Lulu's sitting in between us. It's like, oh, she won't eat her kid, but
Mine's a bit more, I think, cliche, but something that always got me as a kid was Saw. And I actually used to watch it in Russian to try to make it funny. And it never made it funny at all. I just had even less of a clue what was going on. But it did, as I've gotten older, I kind of realized, because me as a little kid, it made me think of all like the things I'd done. Oh, I stole the cookie jar from this. Oh, I stayed up and I told them I was taking a nap, but I was actually watching The Sopranos over their shoulder. Things like that, where I was like, oh my God. And now as an adult, thinking about those things coming back to you, like being killed or tortured by your worst features or what you do, you know, if you're a heroin addict and you get pushed into a tub of needles. And
Mm.
when someone else pushes you and they're forced to, you know, I don't want to overdose via somebody else, you know, but it's very possible that you can do it on your own. Things like that, that just expand on your real fears. That was what got me in like those games. I'd played enough games of tag and hide and seek my whole childhood. It felt too real for me.
Yeah, yeah. I think that was just really just creepy. And the cube, like just going into the different bits, and then new things were happening, and you're just like, oh
It
shit,
was so
this is too
creative.
much.
Oh,
Yeah.
and we were on the road trip at the time when I watched it, and there were white speed limit signs everywhere. And I swore it was Saw watching me from afar. I was like, they're coming to get my 12-year-old ass for I don't know what I did.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is funny, man. Oh man. I think it's really interesting. You all have you know, that different kind of feel for the genre. And I think that must really help the whole storytelling process, because you're all going to be bringing something completely, you know, new to the scenes and everything like that. Like, do you find that your styles behind the camera are drastically different?
Yeah, I think so for sure. We each bring our own different kind of point of views into it. I know Toby, you know, grew up on theater, so she loves these like static, beautiful shots, kind of like you're looking at a wide stage. Personally, I've grown up on a lot of films and like Wes Anderson. I love movement. So that's something I kind of look to do when I'm behind the camera. But when Toby's behind the camera, maybe she'll look towards more static shots. And it's cool when we're in the editing process, seeing which way works best. Sometimes it's one or the other.
Yeah, because I think when we're watching it and we have the scene of you going to find Amber, and you're going kind of up the river, up the waterfall kind of thing. And so, you know, the camera's kind of moving with your steps, and we see you like underneath, and you know, all of that. That was like a real interesting take from going from, yeah, the wider shot, now a more intimate kind of shot, and we're with you a bit more. That was an interesting kind of change in the pace of the film.
Well, that's
Thank
a great example of Zelda bringing in her eye to the film. The reason those shots happened, Zelda, we had just bought the Ronin, which you wanted us to buy.
Yeah, you know, our last film, we just had a tripod and our camera, but this one, since I love movement, we got a lot more new equipment, like a Ronin, which allows us to have a steady cam, and we also got a drone. And this was movement that like we had never experienced before. So it was so fun working with those new devices.
You bought new devices and you tried them straight out on your new film. Like, what are you doing?
Oh yeah.
Trust us, we shot, so we didn't know what the hell we were doing. And first of all, Zelda crashed the drone on day one in the first 20 minutes into the side of a cliff. And I had to save it because luckily she crashed it and wedged it in between a tree that was growing out the side of this 500-foot cliff. And then we shot like, I don't know, about 3 hours of footage with that Ronin because we had no idea what the fuck we were doing. And so out of that 3 hours of insane footage of Zelda hopping on slippery rocks, we got like about 6 seconds of footage.
Oh my gosh. It sounds like it's a lot of fun shooting with you guys.
It is.
Oh,
it wasn't
man.
so fun when she crashed the drone. All of us panicked for a second. That part wasn't fun. It was fun as soon as we had the drone again back in our hands.
It was
Yeah.
fun watching you lean over the cliff to grab it.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody stand back. I'm going to lean over this cliff. Don't get near me.
Oh dear, oh dear. And do you do anything to get yourselves in the mood for a day of shooting? Is there certain music you put on, something you watch? Do you kind of do a huddle, have a certain talk? Like what do you do?
That's such a great question. I love that. You know what? We eat a lot. We just are always around the table eating something, and we're like, oh, 5 minutes, we're gonna shoot.
Eat because we're shooting and we don't know when we'll be back for lunch. And don't complain if you're out there and hungry.
Well, hopefully it isn't you know, the things that were in the pot. You know what I mean? It's better food.
Yes,
You
exactly.
should see our spaghetti though.
Yeah.
Ugh. Runny red sauce.
And
Oh,
worms.
God.
You know, it's funny though, like we have been making movies though nonstop for 10 years. So in a way, it's kind of just a part of our life now. Like it's not really like work. It's not like, okay, we got to go to work. And it's not even like when the girls played soccer. Like when we would go to soccer games, it was like we'd have to play System of a Down and AC/DC right before they went out on the fields because let's fucking kick their ass, you know. But this is different because, you know, after breakfast we're shooting, or you know, it's like it's kind of just woven into our life. So it's very normal. There's a camera. We always have a camera. We always have our mics. I don't know.
Yeah, Kevin, like John said, up above us, we're about to shoot something right now. I mean, right after we finish talking with you. And we left the set kind of in disarray from yesterday so we could reshoot. There's like a chopped off hand. There's blood and shattered mirror all over the floor. You know, if someone walked in there, they would be like,
What?
holy shit. You know, what went down here? And we're just going to go right from you. We're going to walk upstairs, get in our clothes, and there you go.
Yes. Today we have to get Toby to stick a mirror shard in Lulu's neck. So, you know, just regular old family fun.
True
Yeah.
bonding.
I love my daughter.
And I blunted the mirror shard a little, but not too much. It's got to be effective and real.
Oh my gosh, you guys are gonna make one therapist real happy in the time.
And Rick,
Oh, good. So, do you have is there a plan for this next film? Have you got a date in mind when you're looking to have it ready and hit this, you know, the festival circuit again?
we have to stop shooting in April because the snow's gone, and this one's definitely only a late fall through the winter movie. So we have to be done by April. And usually it takes about another 5 months to kind of like just that editing process to just wind down until you're done. So I don't know where that puts us, but April, May, June, July, August, September, maybe hopefully in the fall.
Okay. Cool. Oh,
Yeah.
that sounds great. When hopefully once it's all done, you'd be kind enough to stop by. You know?
Ooh, if you'd be kind enough to have us,
That would be
please.
wonderful.
You're a lot of fun to
Yeah.
talk to.
I'd love to stand up.
Yeah, right, exactly. If you do 10 minutes of stand up at the beginning of the set.
Hey, I'm open to any offers, people.
Sweet. As long as you don't mind getting a hand chopped off or turning into graffiti or not
Confetti. I got a question for you. How do you like? So some comedians, like I've been in like punk rock bands my whole life, and how do you like hecklers? Like I loved hecklers because they only fed into our punk rock vibe. Like usually the heckler had wished they had never heckled us because we would just go there with them immediately, and an insult to us was like the highest praise, you know? So it was like they would think they would be jabbing us with a jab, and we'd be like, oh my God, we love it. How about you? Have you dealt with any hecklers yet?
Not really anything crazy, but it's always a weird thing for me. Like being on stage because like my eyesight is pretty short, so I can't really see what the hell anyone is doing. You know what I mean? So when if someone says anything, it's just like, where did that come from? who, who just commented? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's just like you just have to be careful of what you say, because sometimes you think of something and you're like, oh, you're saying that? Okay, and then you'll be like, actually, I can't say that. If I say that, everyone will go crazy. You know what I mean? My ass is out, so I better par it down a little.
Right.
That's a great point about comedy. Like, I think comedians, number one, have to be the smartest of us all
And bravest.
and the bravest, and they walk such a high tightrope, because especially these days, there's so many no-nos that even in comedy, it's a gray area. So yeah, I can imagine it can be pretty hard to kind of come up with subject matter that's pushing the boundaries, but not pushing you out of getting excluded from all the comedy clubs.
Well, I think it's just all about intent, right? It's the way because everyone knows the way you say something, right? It's just like it's in that tone of voice and how you're doing it and all of that kind of thing. But I think some people sometimes just want to be offended, you know? Like it was crazy because I used to have a friend come along with me, and I had a joke about red flags. And I was always like, it was something along the lines of, if a girl tells me her best friend is a mum, it's a red flag. Because, like, I don't care about her being a friend with her mum, but is her personality that bad? No one of her own age wants to hang out with her? Like, right? What's this saying? And my friend, he was married, he has a daughter. He's like, my daughter's best friend to her mum. What do you mean? I'm like, yo, I wasn't talking about you. Like, it's a joke. He's like, yeah, but what are you saying? I'm like, it's a joke, man. It's a joke. Come on, calm down.
Exactly, 100%. How did you like Dave Chappelle's show, his latest? Because that got him in some hot water.
I mean, it was all a bit crazy. Like, Chappelle is just hilarious, and just the way he can tell a story, right? It's that changing pitch, the changing tone, the delivery, just the way the pauses, just all of that really go into telling a story. And when you have to listen to it to go, oh, he's talking about this, right? Because he's talking about a friend of his who was trans, who killed herself.
Right.
So it's just a bit like he's not going, oh, trans people are blah, blah, blah. He's talking about a specific thing that happened. So it just seemed a bit like, what are you actually doing when you're trying to cancel him and you're complaining about this? Like, did you actually listen to it? Because like you kind of feel a lot of times when people talk about stuff, when people retweet and they do all of that, they haven't actually watched the thing. They're just going on, oh, all these people are angry. I'm going to be angry with them. Yeah, let's go. You know? And it just feels like, oh, people, let's just understand. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But it doesn't mean it's not for anyone, right? It's like when I watch films, there's films that I will watch and I'll be like, that's not for me. Right. That's not like I watched a film the other day called The Hating Game. It was an adaptation of some book. It was a rom-com. And I've got nothing against rom-coms, right? There's some that I really enjoy, like Away We Go, I think is just so damn good. That Richard Linklater's Before trilogy. I love those films, you know what I mean? But this one, I didn't like it. But it's like I can watch it and go, okay, if you enjoyed this film or you read these books and you liked them, this will speak to you.
Right.
You know? So I don't care that it exists. I have nothing, like I wouldn't be like, take it down, burn it, destroy it. I'm like, yo, it's got its place. It's just not for me. You know what I mean? And I think that's the attitude we need to have a lot of the time. You know, just enjoy the things you enjoy. You know, keep yourself open, because there's so many times when I've been like, I don't know if I'd like that, and someone's like, no, check it out, and you watch it or read it or listen, you'd be like, oh shit, that's incredible. You know what I mean? So I think we should keep ourselves open to things, but yeah, just people need just to relax a little. You know?
Yeah,
Totally.
I'm 100% with you, and I think it kind of refers back to what we talked to earlier in the conversation, which is, if you don't like it, that's great. I would love to just know why. That's all.
Mm.
And in a night, you know, just like, let's talk about it, move on. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh,
I always
definitely.
think that it's a little bit of a shame with horror, because a lot of people that we all know, I feel like we know someone who's like, I hate horror, it is not my thing, horror like sucks, or just are really against it, but have seen like something when they were a kid, or they watched 1 or 2 movies when they were older that were all like jump scare movies or are all paranormal movies. And something that I think we love the most about horror is you can do all the other genres in addition to horror, but the minute that you add horror to like a comedy, you know, it's a horror, not a comedy. So people don't end up watching those if they're into comedy.
Mm.
But, you know, like you watch the scary movies, they still have like the kind of skit ones. They're still funny as fuck, some of them. And you do get a little bit of those horror. Like sometimes they have some scariest shots a little bit too, but with horror, you can still add, I think you said something like this earlier, you can still add comedy, you can still add drama, you can still add a love story. You can still add all these goofy or almost contrasting things, but they don't actually contrast, because, you know, you're telling a life story at some point, and life is not just horror, just this, just drama. That it's always a shame when people are like, oh, I don't like horror, you know, and it doesn't mean just that they don't want to watch our movie, but ending, I'm like, there's so much good shit out there. Like, oh my God, you might realize you love cult psychology and get into this, or you might love jump scares because it makes you fucking feel something that other movies don't.
No, I think that's a really, you know, great point, because I think because, you know, there's always the genre of the film or the book or the music, but sometimes there's these things that just sit between the cracks, right? And it's just like that label can often put people off something.
Right.
And it's just like, like, how do we get round this? You know what I mean? How do we get past this? Because you know what I mean? Yeah, people are missing out. It's a funny thing, right? Because I often get sent a lot of horror to review and look at, and I have to plan my viewing time, because there's some of this shit I ain't watching past 9 o'clock, right? I live on my own, and there's sometimes there's these noises and shit, and I'm just like, maybe these people are right. Maybe humans. Like, what's going on? Is that a shadow? And that's the other thing about having bad eyesight, because you don't know. You're like, is there something in the corner? I don't know. I can't see that. I think there's something there. Fuck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's just like, I need to watch this shit during the day.
I love that.
That's relentless creep factor, I imagine.
Yeah, you get a stiff neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh.
It's like pitch black, you know, there can't be any shadows. Just light everything.
Oh.
But you know, it is, I think it's because I don't know, because I think everything's very subjective, right? So I don't know how you do get past that thing of going, no. Yes, it's classified as a horror, but this one's funny, or it's not as scary as this, or it's very, because this is like, you might say, oh, it's not very scary, and then someone watches it and goes, oh my God, that's terrifying. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, my parents don't eat spice, right? Don't eat spice. And I remember years back when I was a kid, and we were like, oh, can we get some Kentucky Fried Chicken? And they're like, I don't know. I'm like, yo, no. Popcorn chicken is not spicy. It's not, you'll be fine with it. And they got popcorn chicken. They put them in, and like, I thought you said it wasn't spicy. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? Spicy. How are you? It's not spicy. What's wrong with you people? You know what I mean? So it's just like telling someone, no, that isn't scary. You know what I mean? It's not
Yeah.
scary for you, but it might fuck them up. You know?
That's what happened. Zelda mentioned The Descent. When The Descent came out in 2003, maybe, I took one of my best friends to see it. And afterwards, she was just so pale, and she's like, Toby, I don't do horror. And I was like, oh my God, I'm full. I didn't know people didn't do horror. I didn't know that there was like a species of humans that just didn't do horror. And there is. And B, it was like, yeah, it was scary for me, but not to the extent that she hated me because of what I had taken her to. And we just looked at it very differently.
Oh man. With that one, I think it might be, what Lulu said earlier, because I mean, you watch some films and you'd be like, and you in your mind you feel, oh, I'm fine with this thing, but you won't be like, am I claustrophobic? Does that make me uncomfortable? Like, am I? And I don't realize it, because I think sometimes these things, and it is the sign of a great story, where it makes you think about, what would you do if you were in that situation? You know what I mean? Because I think there's times that you think, oh, if someone attacks me with a knife, I'm gonna fight them off. I'm gonna do this. And then it might happen in real life and you run. And then you have to look at yourself and be like, yo, everything's on its head, man. I'm in the upside down. What the fuck is happening? Right.
Yeah.
And so it's just like you watch certain things and be like, am I claustrophobic? Like, what the fuck would I do if I was trapped in a cave? And I think that's the thing that fucks you up, rather than, oh, there's monsters down here as well. You know what I mean? It's just like, actually, I think these closed spaces would fuck with me.
That's actually one of my favorite scenes in Hereditary, was when the young boy knocks his sister's head off and goes home and doesn't say a word and goes up and lies down in his bed. It's just like, what the fuck? And then you're kind of like, I don't know, maybe that is what I would do too. Like, it's so twisted, you don't think about it. And if you were it's so clever of that filmmaker to be like, okay, he's not going to scream. It's not going to be what we're all used to. He's going to knock this kid's head off, leave the body in the car, not say a word, go upstairs and lie down. It's incredible. Like, I love that shit.
Yeah, I think when you...
Sorry.
Oh, no, go.
No, he's just done similar things in horror movies. He's tried to scare the shit out of Zelda and I on some of our walks at night. And he realized I was pretty loud from afar, so he knew it was me. But Zelda and I were going on a night walk when we were filming Hellbender. And we went on a walk along the Washington coast, I believe it was. And it was like a moonlight night, but you could kind of see a little bit of figures in the far distance. John might be able to describe this better, but...
No, I just learned something very important about both my daughters. Is I crept up on them while they were having a private conversation. I put my hood up and I came up like this, and they didn't see me because they were busy blabbing. And when they turned, one of them went like this, ready to fight, and the other one just took off. And I was like, awesome. I've raised them both perfectly. One plants her feet right in the fucking ground and just getting ready to throw some fists. And the other one's like, I'm faster than you, motherfucker. And it's the other funny thing about the whole story is it's the old joke about, when the grizzly bear comes and one guy starts taking off his hiking boots and putting on his sneakers. And he's like, his friend says, you can't outrun that bear. And he says, I don't have to. I just got to outrun you.
Yeah. Now, John, was it the one that you thought would do the thing? That's the question.
Oh, I knew exactly who was going to do what. There is no doubt. This was not Hereditary. Nobody surprised me. Everybody did exactly what I expected. And they're both good choices, Zelda. Zelda feels bad now. But I'm like, Zelda's a good choice. It's a very good choice. I was so much bigger than you guys.
I was gonna go and call the cops, you know. So.
Yes,
Yeah, you better have. I was left to fight this guy.
I'm also very careful when I scare this one to stay just out of swinging distance.
I think, yeah, I think that's a good thing because listen, people get bent out of shape if you hit them, but it's just like, yeah, but yeah, you crept up on me. What would you
Right,
expect?
exactly.
Ask for it.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
One time I used to work at a cinema, and the security guard at the cinema always thought he was a cool dude and would always try and do certain things, but it was just like, oh, son, chill.
Yeah.
And I was in the main office one day, and he crept up on me and grabbed my shoulder. And I flipped him I flipped him over onto a table, and he's just lying there like, I'm like, yo, you crept up on me. What did you want me to do?
Got what he
love
deserved.
That's a great reflex too. That's way more cool looking.
I gotta say, you never want, if you ever find yourself in the same room with a sleeping John, don't wake him up. Because when he wakes up, he's a serial killer. He's an axe murderer. He will, come at you with fists. If there's a knife nearby, he'll probably stab you.
And his eyes are still closed half the time.
And I can't tell you how many times I thought I was gonna die because I have had to learn to gently, babe, it's time to wake up. Because otherwise he's like, who wants to get fucked up? Literally, that comes out of his mouth. I can imagine the dreams he's having.
I'm sorry.
It's so funny.
I didn't mean to.
Oh
like,
my
it's me.
god.
It's just
Like
me.
I think the funniest thing would be if the films you made were all rom-coms, because you know what I mean? Like hearing all of this, you'd be like, yeah, it makes sense, you make horror. You know what I mean? But if it'd be like, yeah, we make wholesome rom-coms, you'd be like, yo, what the fuck, man? Oh my gosh. Yo, guys, you have been fantastic because I realized you need to shoot your film, right? There's only so many more days of snow and shit. I can't keep you, but this has been just such a great conversation. I really appreciate you giving me your time. And Hellbender is such a great film. So thank you for making it, because I enjoyed the fuck out of that film, and I can't wait for the soundtrack to drop because I was jamming to the songs. I like, yeah, if you're a mountain.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, Kevin, thanks for having us today. This has been a great conversation. Really nice to talk with you. And thanks for watching our movie and giving it your mind and your thoughts.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Hey,
Yeah.
no worries, man. And yeah, I cannot wait for the next one. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, when this drops on Shudder tomorrow, hey, I'm sure the peoples are gonna love it. I'm sure they're gonna love it because just everything from the camera work, the story, the acting, it was all on point, people. So hey, congratulations on the film, and just continue doing what the hell you do, because hey, you're doing it right.
Thanks
Thank
so
you, Kevin.
much for having us today.
Hey, no worries. Enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Have a good
Peace.
day.
All right, peace.
Bye, Z.
Bye.